First thing I should say is congratulations on the album. Of course, I had a chance to hear it, months and months ago, and I knew it was killer. But it sure is doing awesome.
Yeah,
Charting on
yeah.
Billboard and whatever. Like when you guys were making it, did you feel like you had something special? Because I think obviously you do.
Oh, first of all, thank you. We appreciate that. We, we didn't really think about it too much. We were just trying to uh, the best, make the songs the best they could be. Like, when we had demos of stuff that we all had together, and you could tell from the demos that there was some good stuff, but um, it didn't have vocals and melodies really on it. I heard what Glenn was going to do on various things because I'd be with him. We'd be doing demos and stuff. But so I knew that it was going to be pretty cool. If it, but then there's a lot of factors that come into play, and I figured it could only get better, and it did. So we just very focused and didn't think about it, but we're happy how it turned out.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed, obviously, I mean, everybody was expecting a different sound with Glenn joining the band, with John leaving and stuff, and um, the it has more of a '70s vibe, if I can use that. Was that like intentional, or did it just sort of work out like that?
We've been wanting to. We've always wanted to have that '70s vibe, and that's you know somewhat of what we've been trying to do since I've been in the band. But I think that Ben Gross really found a way to make it sound a little warmer, and then of course Glenn coming in, he was doing it in the '70s,
Yeah,
I mean, I was influenced by a lot of '70s, '60s, '70s, '80s music, but primarily '70s. But Glenn was doing it, and he definitely adds that vibe to it. But I think that and what Ben brought, Ben Gross really he took all of our sounds that we have and really kind of focused them the way that he thought they should be, which was definitely a warmer sound, a little more raw maybe,
yeah.
and organic kind of. Some people said that when they listen to it in headphones, it feels like they're right in the room with us, which that's a great thing to hear. So
Yeah, certainly it
hopefully,
sounds awesome in headphones for sure. That's my preferred way of listening to it myself. Um, did the environment in which you were recording it, because you had such an awesome place to record it,
yeah,
La Fabrique Studios in south of France there, like did that have any influence in terms of how you guys attack the music and like day to day?
definitely. That place was perfect for us. We were in the south of France, away from everybody and everything, in a small town. And the first 3 weeks we were there, I never even left the premises. I mean, I went outside or whatever in the morning, but basically we'd have breakfast and then go straight directly to the recording area, and it was perfect to be able to focus. And it definitely affected the quality of the music because there were no distractions.
Yeah,
I love to be at home, but I don't think I could have focused. Speaking for myself, I don't think I could have focused as much as being away in a place where there's no distraction. No
yeah.
phone calls, no anything. So it was great for me personally.
And you've been on so many albums, you've been in a lot of different high profile bands. Have you actually had a recording experience like that before, or is that was like a unique first for you?
Um, well, when we would record in Nashville with Marty Fredrickson, we kind of had that, but not to that degree where we were living on the premises.
Yeah,
The bedrooms were right above the kitchen, so you could come down and grab something in the middle of the night or whatever, or we would just come down and have breakfast, go to the room and record, and come back and have with these guys, they were two chefs, and they would prepare these killer meals. We never got to order anything. They just made us what they wanted, and amazing. Coming in after recording all day, coming in around 7 or 8 p.m. and having some French food was not too shabby.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were living, vicariously through you, through some of the posts and stuff that were being posted during the recording. It looked awesome. The food looked awesome. You looked like you guys were having a good time too.
Yeah, man, we did. There's always, when they post stuff, there's always some goofy outtake stuff that's funny. But when we were definitely focused hard during the days, and we would joke around for a second here or there, but mostly we were into it.
Yeah.
But to answer your previous thing, I don't think I've ever had that situation. I mean, to live on the premises of the studio.
Cool. Well, it certainly produced some great results, and certainly a lot of the singles were getting a lot of favorable comments and whatnot. But since Holy Ground, the single kind of released, it kind of seemed to take off on a whole other level. And then when people had got their actual hands on their album, and certainly if anybody doesn't have it, they definitely need to get it because it's killer. But you have a lot of the people coming up with what's your favorite track, and Chosen and Justified, which is an awesome track. That was one of my immediate favorites as well. And My Fate keeps coming up and on social media as well. But it seems to be a broad spectrum of songs that people identify with. That's got to be a satisfying feeling by itself, that you put together this collection of songs that everybody can has their favorite. It's not just one song that everybody gravitates to.
Yeah, that's really nice. We're very thankful for that. Like I said, we pretty much just focused on the best ideas that we all had and helped each other with those, to get them to be the best they could be. We had some stuff that we had demoed up in LA, like Righteous Days and Holy Ground, and we made improvements to those two songs. Or we tried to, and Holy Ground really, we simplified it, slowed it down a little bit. And originally on the demo, the first recording we did of it, it had a lot of drum soloing during the verses. It was there'd be these drum breaks in the verses, where now he's just playing straight through.
Yeah.
And it just, some little changes like that, and the intro riff being chordal instead of single note, it just came alive, really. And then the chorus hit, and it was like, yeah, this track kicks ass. And so management said, that's our favorite track to open with. That would be the best opening track, and the title would be killer to have the opening track be the title track. So that was cool. It worked out.
Yeah. Well, certainly one of the things that I look at for what makes a good song. Obviously the riffs are important, and all that, but the melody, both in terms of the music and in terms of the vocal melody, is important to make a good song, because it sticks in your head. And certainly I find that the melodies on this Dead Daisies effort are maybe a little bit more complicated, and maybe a little bit more subtle, but they're so good, and it's the kind of things that just keeps growing on you the more you listen to it.
There's so many ways you can go with something, but when you're faced with a situation of making a change on lead vocals, I'm so happy that Glenn was into it, and that he came in and he's just very melodic. I mean, I had no complaints with John Corabi. I love John. He's an amazing singer and a great frontman. But since he decided he was going to step out, and we were able to get Glenn in, it was perfect, because that's what I think the Dead Daisies is about, is expanding and growing and changing. That's what it's been. That's how David Lowy started it, was to be like a roundabout, very similar to how the early Deep Purple, they called it a roundabout. The Daisies call it a collective. They're both kind of, but so we're, as a collective, this is Mark IV of the Dead Daisies, kind of, I would say, and so roughly, and it was cool that we so just back to your point, melodically, Glenn did an amazing job. He just is melodic. He just can't help it. He's and then his lyrics are amazing because they paint, these pictures that leave room for imagination. And I think that's important. Something that I learned by watching and being around when he was doing lyrics was that if you've got an opportunity to leave some room for imagination, it's really cool.
Yeah, it makes it like enables the listener to make their song their own then, right? And so it speaks to them individually. And certainly, I think some of that probably comes from his philosophy on life, which is always, it seems to be like, all the peace and harmony and love and togetherness and all that kind of stuff, which must be kind of motivating and stuff to be around.
Yeah, man, he's definitely a spiritual person and channeled in to. He's connected to his higher power and the higher power. He's in. So I mean, it's also pretty by coincidence, but a lot of the song content lyrically lends it to what we went through last year. Like, and now songs like "Come Alive," it's time to come alive. You can start over. That's like exactly what I need to hear right now, because it is like we're trying to do things to get back to normal and come alive again. We were 2020. It's just like, it's like we just jumped a year. It's so weird.
Yeah, no fooling. Yeah.
So I think some of those, and back to your point of when Holy Ground came out, it kind of went. We directly were going to start with Holy Ground as the first single, but then when everything shut down, we decided to just hold off. And then, we wanted to. Management said, we're thinking about releasing a track, and we're thinking about Unspoken. It just feels right.
Yeah.
And that's one of the deeper tracks, on the album, for me anyway. And and it felt really good at that time, to kind of help people stay in focused and not worry about the future, and it was a kind of a deep track, and Bustle and Flow was one that David Lowy and I and Glenn finished up in France, and David really thought that encompassed, a good collaboration of Glenn's melodies and Glenn's spirit. The bustle and flow, you're right in the middle of this bustle and flow, and it just felt like right for the summertime. We're right in the middle of it, and that wasn't meant to be a single either.
Right.
But it worked. But then now we're kind of getting to promote the album, and that's where Holy Ground started it off. I'm not sure what comes next. Maybe it is Chosen and Justified, or My Fate, or Like No Other, or could be anything. But yeah, that you like Chosen and Justified is nice. That's a very easy to digest song. That's a lighter, that's probably the lightest.
It's probably for people that are thinking like the change from John to Glenn, those eras. I mean, that's probably the easiest transition, I think, between the stuff he did before and Chosen and Justify, in terms of just the rhythm playing, and the riff is slightly more simple and straightforward, and it's a good, but it's completely rocks, and it has your like toe tapping in no time, right? Like it's a good one.
Yeah, the way he, that song. I'll tell you the story. Sorry to cut you off, bro.
No, it's all good.
Just, we were working on songs, and we wanted to. That was a demo that we had that we wanted to hit and see, what was going to happen with that. And I had played that riff for Glenn, and it's a very simple. There's not much to it, but Glenn made it really happen in the verse. It was like, wow, that's cool, man. It's what he was singing. The phrasing he did was really almost like it reminds me of kind of like this band Counting Crows.
Yeah, I know Counting Crows.
Or something. Sure. I don't know. Maybe it has nothing to do with that, but it just reminded me. I kept thinking of that, and then and somebody else said ZZ Top, but the way Glenn was singing that verse was immediately catchy. And then when it hits the chorus, I knew melodically from the chords it would be really good, but I think Glenn wasn't quite happy with it yet. So we didn't. He wrote it 3 times. He said,
oh, wow.
The melody and the lyric, especially the lyric, I think, and finally settled on Chosen and Justified. He would come in and go, I've got it. I've got the chorus. I'm like, you got it? He's like, I got it. I'm like, you sure you got it? He's like, I got it, Doug. I got it. And then he'd track it, and then I'd say, how is it? He goes, it's good. I'm getting some other ideas though now. And then a couple of days would go by, and he'd be like, I've got the chorus, Chosen and Justified. I've got it. I'm like, you got it? We just kept doing that.
That's funny. Well, and certainly the 3 singles that you released were when I first had the listening to it months and months ago, I'd written down my top 6 favorites, and those are the top 3 when Chosen and Justified was 4. So lots of good stuff there, for sure. And
yeah, well, hope from you, hopefully from your mouth to everyone's ears, the main thing is to have the idea for us right now is that we wanted to make a record that would help people, in normal times, and make their life better, give them music that was inspiring, make them feel stronger. What music does, it comforts you, it makes you feel stronger, it gives you empowerment, and now even more so in these times, So that's what we're hoping for.
For sure. Well, nailed it for sure. Even the additional track on the Japanese release, it's called Inside and Alone, which I don't have on my copy.
Inside and Above.
Oh, sorry, Inside and Above. Yeah, is really, really good. How did you guys choose what was going to be the bonus track, and did you have extra tracks that you were choosing from, and how does that go into choosing what's going to be on the extra track for the Japanese release?
First of all, we had I think we had 15 originals, or 15 or actually we had more than that. We had some stuff that David and I had done prior to Glenn, and we're sure, we didn't press it at all. We just brought that to the table. Mm-hmm. If Glenn wanted to work on it, we would, and we didn't get to it.
Yeah.
And I think basically how it works is, and this, I want this to sound right, but a singer's got to be into it.
For sure.
Like it was the same way with John. You don't want to tell somebody, hey, you have to sing on this. It's like they either feel it, and Glenn definitely needs to feel it, or else it's not going to become a song,
Right.
And so first off, we worked on the songs that he was into, that he had hits for. Like, okay, I'm getting a vibe on this one. I know I can make this happen. Or of course, the songs that Glenn brought in, stuff like My Fate and Unspoken, were, he already had a melody and a lyric in mind. So those were easy. We just worked on the music. We just worked on the arrangement, worked on the music, maybe added whatever to make the song finished. But so first we focused on the songs that Glenn wanted to focus on, and then from those we all kind of, I pretty much stayed out of it. It was pretty obvious, that what songs for sure were going to make it, and then it was down to like 1 or 2 songs, and it was just by chance. I think there was a vote maybe that it would be what's the song from Japan? I just spaced it.
It's called Inside and Above.
Inside and Above. Sorry.
Inside and Above.
Inside and Above didn't make it, but it's a killer riff, and it was a really cool call and response thing with the vocal.
Yeah.
Sorry about the leaf blower.
It's okay.
It was a really, really cool call and response thing. So hopefully people will get to hear it maybe on YouTube or something.
Yeah. Well, it's also pretty stellar too. So with Dean leaving, I know there's lots of fans that are sad about that.
Dino, what are you doing, Dino?
Yeah, Dean's a great guy. I was happy to meet him there a couple of times like on the last tour. A super guy. Obviously, obviously he'll be missed, but what do you think that Tommy will bring to the band? I know you haven't had a chance necessarily to play with Tommy in the past, but what do you think the dynamic will be now?
I think it's going to be amazing. Again, we love Dean. Dean's, when we played last year, October, I guess we got a chance to play through the record. It was kind of it had cooled out a little bit in LA, so it wasn't such a hot spot.
Yeah.
And so we all got together and played. He was struggling. It was hurtful on his back. It was something he'd been going through for a while, but he didn't want to. He had mentioned it, during recording that he'd get some massages and stuff to get him through, but he didn't want to get an operation during COVID because it was just like the possibility of getting sick, going in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then remember, unless it was a heart problem or something, you wouldn't go in. So then during rehearsal last October, he was like really hurting, and he also during last year, I think it was just hard on Dino. He's a driven guy. He needs to be busy. He needs to. He just can't. He's like an innocent person that when you leave him alone in the house, it's just gonna go nuts. So he started working on another project that he was really excited about, where he was going to be singing, and I think that's aside from his back thing, I think he's really excited about moving into a new territory. And when we totally support him, but I'm super jacked about Tommy because Tommy he's probably, I think he's one of the heaviest drummers out there right now. There's no, nice. He's worked with Ozzy and Live Sabbath. I mean, it's amazing watching this guy play. He's just like a powerhouse, and he's also got, he lives in LA, but he's got a very English. Maybe it's because of playing with Ozzy and then especially playing with Tony Iommi and Geezer. He's got this English feel that's great, and Glenn's got that. And I was influenced by a lot of English guitar players, so I want that feel too for me. And so I think Tommy's going to make the band even heavier. It's going to be killer, man.
Cool. It would be awesome to hear live then. Because the sound you guys live is always awesome. So if it cranks it up a notch, even more with Glenn and Tommy, hey, that'll be a good thing, I think. So that'd be fun.
Absolutely,
that'll be fun. Changing gears, I know we don't have that much time left. I have just a couple more questions, I guess, for you here. But so the other day I was writing out sort of my top 10 or my top favorite guitarists of all time, and guys on that list were like Eddie and Stevie Ray Vaughan and yourself and Hendrix and guys like that.
Thank you. That's incredible to be part of anything like with those guys. But those
are my top. Who are some of your favorite guitarists of all time?
It's very difficult. You could give me 100 list, and it's hard to it's like there's every guitar player that I come across, I find something inspiring about them. But as far as guys that were influential to me really early on, is where I think early on is where you really develop your thing, even before you know or before you can play it.
Yeah.
Your mind is already being your style is already being kind of created in your mind and in your soul, and eventually you start to realize your style that's coming from inside, And but stylistically, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, Hendrix, Michael Schenker, Gary Moore, Richie Blackmore, Tony Iommi, Eddie, Randy, even got guys like Pat Travers, Alex Lifeson. These guys. Did I say Blackmore? Because I should have.
You did. Yeah.
The first riff I learned was Smoke in the Water, but in the wrong key with the wrong chords and everything. But at least it was the same intervals.
Yeah.
But there's just so many. I'm missing David Gilmour, the Allman Brothers band with Dwayne and Dickie. Yeah, it's never ending. I know I'm missing a bunch, but
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. Like,
yeah,
all those are all stellar, and you can kind of see those influences, especially on this album. Like, they're all sort of coming out there.
Well, Gary Moore is definitely the melodicness. I love Gary, and I love those. I sometimes would utilize some of those melodies when I was working with Whitesnake, and on this album, for example, Unspoken, that solo, I didn't really know how it was gonna turn out or what I was gonna do. I just started playing, and Glenn actually had an idea. He goes, "What about starting it like this?" And so I was like, "Cool, I'll start like that and then go from there." And I was playing, and I just started to kind of tap into this Gary Moore influence again. And right then, Glenn was like, "Well, yeah, that's cool. So that's kind of one of those songs where you can hear a little bit of that. I love Jimmy Page. I don't know if he was one of the most listened to guitar players when I was growing up, but I don't know if I play at all like him. But sometimes Jeff Beck sneaks in, some of his melodies and stuff will sneak in. Yeah. I always, when I first heard Blow by Blow, that's when I realized, the guitar can speak just as loud as the voice. So
cool.
It was, yeah. And one other one, Peter Frampton.
Oh, Peter Frampton, yeah.
My older sister had Frampton Comes Alive, and I would listen to that with headphones. And and I know it wasn't fully live or whatever, but it's got a great live vibe.
Yeah.
It feels like what a concert should feel like.
Cool. I know I got a minute left with you. I'll finish off with this song, with this question. I always like to ask people I interview this question. What was the very first band T-shirt you ever bought?
Ooh, band T-shirt. I didn't really buy that many because I didn't really have money. But I know I had to have bought a Van Halen shirt.
What about your last one?
The last one, the Rolling Stones. I bought
a
Rolling Stone shirt. I will be honest with you. The line was so long at they had these big concession tents.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw them.
Yes.
But it was awesome. But the line after the concert, the line in those things was so long. I was like, I'm not gonna wait in line.
Yeah.
And a guy was walking down the street, $20.
Yeah.
Shirt. I was like, I gotta have one.
Okay, that's great.
So I did the bad thing, just bought from the bootlegger.
That's actually kind of funny coming from you. That's a funny story.
Well, the funny thing is that those shirts, when you would buy a bootleg shirt, usually you wash it once and then
they shrink up to nothing. Yeah.
Shrink up to nothing, or the logo goes underneath your arm, or it's like.
Right.
So, but
Indeed.
I just. I did get a couple of bootlegs too when I was on tours where, I'd be playing with Whitesnake or Dio, and I just had nothing after sound check to do. I'd walk around outside and I'd see some guy laying out his shirts that were bootlegs, and I'd be like, "Are those real shirts?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, these are real. They're from the band." I go, "Well, I'm in the band." And he goes, "Well, hey, did you want one?" And I would,
That's funny.
You can chase those guys away, but they always come back. It's just
and for sure. Cool. Well, thanks, man. I want to respect the amount of time here that I was allotted.
Thanks, bro. I'm sorry.
I always appreciate talking to you. Every time I have a chance to talk with you, I feel like I could talk forever. So thanks a lot. Best of luck with the new album. I'll definitely look forward to seeing you guys on tour, and when you come through, I'll definitely like to say hi, and look forward to even more from you and the Dead Daisies.